March
Andrew,
8th.
where are you?
All right, let's
Where are you, Andrew?
see.
I'm looking for you. Can't find you.
I'm hiding. I'm trying to. I had to try to find a place where there's actually quiet, and hopefully, I even paid for the upgraded bandwidth. So I'm hoping that this all goes off without a hitch. All right,
Are you guys at the
go ahead,
same
Chip.
conference or something?
We are. Yes.
I asked if we could do the call together, but Andrew said no, thanks. I don't know why.
No, that's not true.
He did say that it was good to see you, Enrique, so he's not hiding from you. He must...
Oh,
Yeah, actually, I did. All right, let's get on into it, Chip. So let's start off. So bring us up to speed. You did a remake of DattoCon. Anything interesting come up there? And the last few weeks you've been raving about Inky, and bring us up to speed. And then for those of you that are listening to all these wins and excitement from Chip, if you guys have any wins yourself, that would be awesome. So
Yeah, so the remake, it wasn't a remake of DattoCon, it was a broadcast, I guess, of virtual DattoCon of all the keynotes.
okay.
And then the adaptation that they introduced was live Q&A with the people who gave the keynotes.
Okay.
So, which was really cool. And I was like, when you do webinars, I think like a couple hundred people, max. And I asked the people who produced it, like, how many people do we have? How many people registered? They said 2,700 registered. Kind of expect
Wow.
that. I said, well, how many are here live? And they said, well, it's 700 and still counting and growing. So apparently, a lot of people like the opportunity to do Q&A. They gave us 20 minutes for Q&A, and they said, if you don't have enough questions, just figure some things out to extend it. And we couldn't even get to all the questions. Everything from RMM stuff to new backup device stuff, and what's going on with different integrations. So it was really kind of fun to do it. I enjoyed it. I like live Q&As better. Like, I wish we could do that at Real DattoCon and Connect, but you just can't do it because there's so many questions that people have, right? You can only scratch the surface on all these topics, and there's long debate beforehand on what you want to even bring up. So it was good. I really enjoyed it.
Good. Well, shameless plug. You can do it here, Chip. Show up for SaaS Alerts training and certification. But let's move back to wins of the week.
Yeah. So other wins, and for you guys that are on the call that use other Kaseya products, everyone's been aware we've been talking about the transition in Kaseya's billing practices to CMQ, committed minimum quantity, and happy to review that if anybody doesn't understand what that means. We've been pushing really hard to get that done for the December verse billing period for DataRMM, SaaSP, and Autotask. Those are the first three products. Kaseya 365 will follow in January. But yesterday we completed all the necessary back office testing, like right on the dot of the day it had to get done, which was awesome and amazing. Like, you guys have heard me gripe about how much stuff I've been doing in the background, and that's been so much of it since May. Just so I feel like my life has just opened up with hours a week of other things I can do. So just don't tell anybody that.
Mum's the word, Chip.
Yep.
We're not saying a word here.
Yep. So, are there partner wins of the week? Anybody pick up anything novel? I mean, Andrew, we definitely have some interesting things to talk about in the week in cyber.
No doubt. Yeah, I'm interested to hear what you're tracking, because you and I cross paths a little bit. But Enrique's got his hand up. What do you got, Enrique? Or is that a Cub Scout thing? I just want to make sure. Or is that maybe a Spock, or
it's both. It's everything. So we had a win Monday, actually, on office hours, right, Anthony? Or was I dreaming?
In real time. No, it was happening in real time.
I got a
Enrique was
call from
talking about
Rocket
something,
Cyber.
and then he's like, hold it, I'll be back. And then what did we find, Enrique?
It was Rocket Cyber, and SaaS Alerts had already acted upon it, but that was like the double whammy kill there. a user logging in from, I forget where it was. The worst thing was it was a brand new account.
Ooh, okay.
Like they had created the account
That's not
previously.
necessarily, thank God though, right?
No, yeah, but it took the user one day.
Well, all that tells you is,
What's-
you know, you either have pick them at the perfect time or that user is probably getting hammered on lots of times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true too.
So remediated by SaaS Alerts, picked up by Rocket Cyber, got the human call. So that was a double whammy.
It's
Well,
interesting, Enrique. You're part of a population that uses both MSA and Rocket Cyber, and obviously all the automation. And does that extra reassurance that you're going to get the human call, even though the automation is, you know, even though the remediation is fully automated, you really like the backup of both.
I do. There's nothing when it comes to identity. There's nothing like different multi-layer approach. It's because remember we had one time that it was once out of all the many ones that they called within 10-15 minutes and there was an API issue with delays in Microsoft and that took like 15 minutes. So it's
Yeah.
always the next. To me, I think the layered approach, especially I'm not paying anything extra. Now, if you told me Andy version that I had to go more, I would tell you no. But if it's included, I'll take it. Hey,
Because you've got both endpoint and user. Is that right? Is that why you're not paying?
these are so no. Actually, Rocket Cyber has always monitored 365 just with endpoint. You don't even have to have user. I do have both, but you don't even have to have user.
Yeah.
Rocket
Yeah, but it
Cyber
is
has
a-
always monitored our SaaS alerts, our 365.
Yeah, it is a bargain when you have the bundles. If you're going to use the everything in the bundle.
Yes. So I do get warm fuzzy feeling of having both.
Can I get on a soapbox real quick and expand off that for Enrique?
I just want to know if you brought enough lunch for everybody. That's what my question is for you, Corey.
Hey, Corey,
Yeah.
before you do, I don't know if you saw this in the past week. Like when I'm feeling like I need some good self-loathing, I go and read stuff on Reddit.
Uh-huh.
And I'm reading this thread, of course, the MSP thread. So
The latest? Oh, MSP. Okay. Gotcha.
yeah, and or maybe it was one of the security threads. Anyway, somebody asked a question about, you know, they were looking for information comparing, I think, LineGuard, SaaS Alerts, and Huntress. And one of the replies was 1,000% SaaS Alerts, but you got to use it through Solutions Granted. And it just put a smile on my face. I
No,
was
I
like,
appreciate it.
you know,
That
Good
was
for-
That's a
Corey.
double win there. That's a double win.
yeah.
Corey, you wrote that, right?
No, I did not. I thought he was looking at the Sonic Wall thing because I've now been on the offensive. I was going to ask if you guys are going to talk about Sonic Wall in your this week because I do have a final-ish update, but
Yeah,
I don't want to steal Enrique's thunder. I want to expand off what he's saying. So I get calls, at least 3 calls weekly on my cell phone for some reason from organizations trying to fully, hey, we can fully automate your SOC, right? Because we do what Rocket Cyber does, what Flatpoint Cyber kind of does, what Huntress kind of does. There's a fine balance between human element and automation. I have always moved forward with nothing replaces the human element. The human element is super important. If you have a compromise at 2 a.m., you need a human to be able to relay to you and call you and tell you what's happening in layman's terms, because obviously you just woke up. If they just start spitting out technical garbage to you that they're reading off a screen, you're going to have no idea what the heck they're talking about. So being able to have a partner, I'm not even going to say a SOC, a partner that is monitoring your environment that can pick up the phone and call you and relay to you what's happening and relay the importance and tell you what you should do next beats any type of automation that's out there. And it's super important. So one other ask. So we received, and I'm adding a win to the week on top of Enrique's here. We received a response from one of our partners, sent it to Michael, didn't even send it to me, right? Saying, hey, I love you guys because I have always been a firm, and I've talked about this over and over, advanced IP scanner. I hate the tool. I know a lot of you might use it in your environment, but it's the same tool adversaries use for pretty much every compromise I've had to investigate. And so we constantly call our partners when we see advanced IP scanner being used, to the point where I've gotten yelled at by my customers and partners to say, hey, this is a tool we use. Stop calling me. Okay, hey, just going to let you know, we're still going to warn you. It's important. I'd rather you yell at me for this than, hey, we missed a compromise in your environment. So they actually emailed Michael saying, hey, this is great. This is awesome. I got up early in the morning, started running this tool. Within 10 minutes, insert SOC analyst's name, called me, validated this was me using advanced IP scanner. You guys are great. An email like that goes a very long way, because what we do in a SOC environment, whether it's us, whether it's Rocket Cyber, it's a very thankless job. Amount of times that we save the day, whatever. But as soon as we miss something, that's when the emails start flowing and the calls start flowing. So an ask of all of you on this call, if any SOC or person saved your day, a simple email really will go a very long way. So I'll get off my soapbox.
Agreed on.
What did you?
I missed what you said, Enrique.
I said agreed on.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Corey, what update did you want to maybe talk about with SonicWall while we have you?
So we posted our final. Mandiant finished their initial investigation, was confirmed to be a state-sponsored threat actor, which in the greater scheme of things, it's better being a state-sponsored actor than just some kid in mom and dad's basement that found a vulnerability and got us, for lack of better words. Because I'll always say it, no matter what, when a state-sponsored actor hits you, it's going to happen, right? They're educated enough, they're sophisticated enough, and they're definitely funded enough that when a state-sponsored actor does a targeted attack on you, they're going to get in. And it's a matter of how quick can you respond to it is what ends up happening. Now, and that's why, Chip, I thought you were talking about the Reddit, because, most of you have known, I've talked about on here that I've been I call myself the CRO, the chief Reddit officer now for SonicWall during this compromise. And, trying to get valid, non-subjective information, direct information out to people on Reddit, because a lot of organizations just don't, that's where they go for their information. Now, I don't completely shame them, because yes, Reddit is faster, 100%. Someone's going to get on there and post something before I can even get an email out to somebody. It's ridiculous how quick Reddit is. Plus, organizations like us, we're partner driven. SonicWall doesn't sell direct to customers or end users. They sell to partners or resellers. And so a lot of our communications to partners, and you would hope MSPs like yourself will communicate to your customers, but a lot of times it doesn't happen. And so now you have the customers that have these devices, tools, software, they're waiting in the wind and they don't know any information, so they have to go to Reddit. So I'm back in Reddit with the recent announcement of, hey, here's our final findings, responding, but I'm responding a little more on the offensive side, because again, we've apologized enough. We've been very forward facing and transparent and everything. At least hopefully everyone has seen that of what we've been trying to do. Now it's time. Okay, let's keep the ball rolling.
Corey, quick question. Which part, this isn't a sarcastic question.
Of course.
Which part, so we had the one part where, there's a 0 day, and we knew that, you put that to bed. For example, it was a lot of misconfiguration, blah, 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 blah. Then there was the backup exfiltration,
Correct.
blah, 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 blah. Can you kind of clarify for everybody which one we're talking?
Sorry, the backup compromise. So,
Okay.
State sponsored. I'll unofficially say it wasn't China. It wasn't India. I'll leave it at that. They compromised an API, our API, that of where the backup files are stored. So the backup files are stored encrypted in an S3 bucket. API service is what takes those files and transports them to the firewall, right? If you need to restore from backup. And so they compromised and breached that API service, which then allowed them to transfer backup files to themselves.
Okay.
Right. And again, timing sucks. Akira comes in 6 months waves. Akira, it happens every year. So I talked about it in January, then I was talking about it in July, where they come in and they start targeting SonicWalls, then they'll move over to Fortinet, then they'll do Cisco. It's just how they work. And the timing of the backup compromise was very, very close to the Akira wave of them targeting SSL VPN. So everybody was like instantly, oh, I got compromised by Akira because of my backup file was compromised. No, I know timing sucks, and it's very easy to correlate those, but no. And that's just part of the Reddit thing where people still, I don't believe you until you give me the full unredacted Mandiant report, which no company's ever going to do that. I'm still waiting on my report about Osama bin Laden. How do they know where he was? I need pictures of him being actually dead, right? I want all of that. No, they're not going to give that to me. Just like no company is going to give you their full unredacted IR or DFIR report. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now we know when you're sick of reading SonicWall threads in Reddit, you go over to the JFK assassination thread.
That's it. That's it. Conspiracy theories. You know, it's what I do. You know, that's it.
That's awesome. Thanks for the
But
clarification.
I would
Corey.
like your guys' feedback, Andrew. I know you're great on giving me unredacted feedback. So I'll send you the link. Our CEO also did a video. I really like the video. You know, I put myself in our partners and customer shoes. I really like the video. The email that went out, well, we room for growth.
At least you guys are, unlike some companies, addressing things, nothing to see here.
That was the
So-
encouraging thing. Hopefully not just me saying it, but the transparency that, you know, myself, Michael, as an MSSP, formerly held them accountable to. It happened from our eyes.
It's like you know, look, we talk about this all the time. Like, that's what people want. Like, for anybody that's going to sit on their high horse, you know, and again, it's typically people that are not on this call, that are, you know, keyboard warriors, that are, you know, wouldn't say it to you face to face ever, Corey.
Yeah,
That
of course not.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
you know, the ones poking shots. If you're, you know, I think if you're really, you know, if you have some real maturity, we all know that this can happen. And if it's state sponsored, you know, you tell me an organization that's going to keep a well-funded state sponsored threat actor out, and we can go to Poly Market and I'll bet on that one.
Yeah. At a recent conference, a term that one of our partners said to me that it didn't even cross my mind through this whole thing. He came to me and was like, "Hey, I really appreciate how you guys are handling this. What I'm seeing now is ridiculous. It is victim shaming." And I never victim shaming never came to my mind during this whole thing, because it's like, okay, well, we were responsible for the backups. We were compromised. But, you know, the more I think about it and go back, it's like, okay, a company was compromised by a, you know, state sponsored entity. And then now it's just constant, just you. It's like, at what point is it victim shaming? And it's just a weird concept, but I'm still wrapping my head around it. Right. Because again, it's just not how I am. I don't dive into that type of thought process, but I can see, okay, yeah. You know, at what point do we move on to the next thing?
You know, it's a worthwhile topic, and we don't talk about this enough, Andrew, that we do talk a lot about how organizations that get hacked don't share within even their own community, let alone more widely. But the victim shaming is part of that. I mean, it's why people clam up and obfuscate things and leave their customers hanging. You know, all the more reason why you guys deserve kudos, Corey, for the transparency.
Yeah, no doubt. Good job, Corey.
Thank you.
Andy, you had your hand up, and then we can go. Someone else had.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks to SaaS Alerts for having a call where we discuss relevant security issues for the MSP marketplace. I mean, I can't care about every other application, but the stuff that we use is talked about here. And I think there's a real value proposition in talking about what's happening, why it's happening, and how we can best respond to it. So thank you, SaaS Alerts and Andrew Morgan.
You're welcome.
Welcome. Stephen, you had your hand up.
Yeah, thanks. I was curious, and Corey, thanks for the insights there. And if you can't share anything, that's I understand. But do we know
Well,
yet
shame
if
'em,
the
Stephen.
cloud? Oh, hey, if the cloud backup service will be back in the same form?
So we
noticed it kind of, yeah.
We're having a lot of decisions about that. my vote has been not to restore that backup service. NSM, which is the central management platform, has its own backup service that was not affected by this, and backups are handled and everything's it's more secure to do it through that NSM. So we're still discussing when to turn it on and what we're going to turn on and how to turn on. My vote is to not turn on those direct backups like that again to the cloud. And if people want to do cloud backups, put it through the NSM platform.
Yeah, I can respect that. I mean, we have to kind of manage our expectations accordingly. I mean, we've been using Screen Connect. I mentioned that in the comments, but their SSL revocation was a big thing this year, and they got a lot of flack for that. We had to adjust our expectations, all of us, to kind of not worry about branding so much with the endpoint agent. And so stuff like that. Thanks.
Of course.
Good. Who else has got some wins? Let's see. Oh, Miss Tina. Yes.
You guys remember this story I told you a week or two ago about that really pleasant conversation that I had? The bank email compromise of a partner company related to the one that we do M365 tenant monitoring and management for. Yeah, do you remember him?
Totally.
Well, he called me back and we had a long chat, and it was a good chat about the services that we provide and kind of the lack of services that their existing IT are providing. And I thought this was really quite funny because we're not that sophisticated. He called us sophisticated. What we were doing was sophisticated, and the discussions we were having were sophisticated. And I thought it was pretty cool because all the calls that we do on Tuesday and Thursday, we talk about this stuff, and it makes me more comfortable talking about those things and, discussing what policies that they have in place and what security practices that they have in their existing organization. And it turns out that this organization is a large nation that has at least 15 other companies involved that operate individually. And he wanted us to take them on. So would anybody else like a 250 user client that we are not going to take on? Enrique.
Tina, I've heard you, not always, I've heard you multiple times on these calls, sell yourself short, right? That we just do this, and we're only doing this. It's very kind, right? But I think you're doing a lot more than many other organizations out there. You are far more sophisticated in the offerings that you're providing your customers than the average MSP. So I'm just going to say, sorry if I hurt you, but
and you're on the SASE call.
You are a rock star in the MSP world, and especially the offering. So I would never sell yourself short.
That's
Tina,
nice.
bring the customer over.
Enrique. I just thought it was really cool because he called and he sounded very angry and aggressive again. And I had just been emailing back and forth with the accountant about an invoice that she was questioning. So I thought he was calling me out of the blue to tear another strip off of me like he did in that previous call. Not that he tore a strip, he didn't. You know how that call went. And we got to talk in depth about what had happened. And it turns out that MFA was not enabled for these other organizations. They did not even have MFA in place. And I had followed up with an email after that call, just outlining all of the security precautions that we take, the services that we have in place, because he demanded that. And I also wanted him to know what we have in place for this tenant. And he went through all of that, and also all of our release forms that I forwarded him, because we make them sign a release saying that we decline these services, or if they have administrative access or whatever. And he said, why don't we have these? And I said, well, you decline them. We put that on every monthly invoice so that it's in your face, because we don't want you saying we didn't warn you about it. And he said, I want all of these now. I was like, well, I'm sorry, but we'll do it for the tenant that we manage, but we're not interested in taking you on as a client. And it wasn't just because we're not taking new clients, but it's because I will never work with somebody that speaks to me that way, period. And it wasn't just him, an alternate person in the organization that also communicates with us in a real negative manner, and we're not interested. So It was neat. It was fun conversation. It was a really enjoyable conversation. He was really receptive. It didn't sound receptive, just comes across in a different way. And he was under a lot of pressure during that call. And I understand that. It turns out they did have a financial loss, a huge financial loss, and these are big companies with a lot of money going through them. For our First Nations businesses are like this. There's a lot of partnerships and links between multiple companies. So he was under a lot of pressure and he was upset and he was just trying to find out what all the providers were doing. And we had the best answer, which felt good. It was nice to hear him say that. It was nice to hear him want our services and like what we're doing. And it was a huge win. It was a huge win.
Because you're a rock
It's
star.
a case study though in human emotion, Tina. Like when we're in fear, right?
Yeah.
We might lash out, right? That
Yeah.
wasn't, it came across as I'm pissed at you, Tina, but that was, I'm crying out, I'm in fear, right?
Yeah.
I'm my companies went through hell. We lost a lot of money. What does this mean for maybe my career, my job? Am I on the hook? Right.
Yeah. Because
And
he's
that's
the
what,
CFO. Yeah.
right, exactly. So you were the cat getting kicked, but that wasn't nothing about you.
No.
That was all about him.
Yeah.
So Sujit, you want to kick a cat?
Well, I've been that cat kicked many times down multiple stairs. But yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that. It's something I've realized maybe over the last 2 years more so, especially now that we use AI a lot. One of the neat things we've been able to do is really kind of get summaries, kind of get all these, this research around a customer, like when a new CEO comes in, a CFO, whomever. So we could try to kind of build empathy with somebody. It's something we push with our techs a lot. Is like when somebody's yelling, they're not yelling at you, they're just yelling in your direction. That's it. Don't take it personally. It's just got to be like water. Hear them for what the issue is and work on that. And don't focus on the other part. It's very rare we've had to kind of kick customers to the curb for that kind of behavior, but it's actually helped me a lot, like relate to customers a lot better. Because before where I'd be like, that goddamn jackass. Now I'm like, you know what? Maybe he's having a bad day. I don't know. Maybe he stubbed his toe before he called me. What do I know? And then that kind
So
of thinking helps
important.
a lot.
Yeah, I agree completely. That is what we're all about. And my clients and our client base have been with us for majority of them for 20 plus years. And the only clients we've taken is through the love and trust that they already have for us and we have for them. So we have a really
Yes.
neat environment and a really cool business. And we stick to that. And I have spoken to a single client saying we no longer want to do business with you because of the way you're communicating with us. And that's not the way that we do business. But it changed really quickly. So I agree fully. And it's 99% of what we do is really understanding the frustrated people that are contacting us and understanding that, they're frustrated for a reason and finding, what they really need while being able to relate and sympathize with them. So Sajid, I love that you said that. That is so awesome.
Tina, it looks
It's
like you have a bunch of takers if you look at the chat. So you're gonna have to pick somebody. Private, of
First,
course.
Flip a
first choice
coin.
is Enrique, Tina.
But Enrique's always at conferences and in his mobile home. That.
Yeah, and ski season's coming up, so
That's right. Just pointing that
Uh,
out.
like I said, Chip,
Let me duck.
we're going to Snowbird right after Right a Boom. So put it on your calendar.
yep. You'd probably need somebody in Canada, don't you, Tina? Or does that not matter?
I'm not, yeah, I'm not gonna. Well, we'll let you know next week how this goes. But we typically pass, or we do pass. There's two people that we pass clients along to. One is more of like a home user kind of guy, and another one is a MSP like myself of colleagues that I used to work with at a larger MSP. So we just pass them along there right now. But
Wait, why isn't this other colleague on the SASE calls every week?
I don't know. I should find that out. We don't work that closely together anymore, so we don't communicate a ton. I just email them and say, "Hey, we've got another client for you." Introduce them and then walk away. We don't request any kickback or anything.
Got it.
Okay.
All right.
Other wins?
Yeah, other stuff. No. All right. let's moving on. Miss Amanda, are you with us?
I am.
All right.
Let me share my screen. I have a quick update. Why do they have to change this every time? All right, do you see the Fortified dashboard right now?
We do.
Great. So I've mentioned it before, but wanted to let everybody know this is on QA, so it'll be coming out shortly as far as our expansion of snapshots. So when you're on the snapshot tab now and you want to import a snapshot, besides the conditional access policy and the Intune device configuration policies, we will also be supporting Defender anti-phishing threat policies and Defender anti-spam inbound threat policies. And so these two should be out probably by beginning of next week. And so they'll be available. And as we continue to roll out additional snapshot types, I will bring that to this group. So look for that starting probably early next week.
So, Amanda, forgive me. I got just slightly interrupted you being in at this conference. Can you go over the Defender piece again?
Yeah, sure. So we're expanding snapshots. And so originally we just had conditional access policies, then we had Intune device configuration policies. Now we're also going to support Defender anti-phishing threat policies and anti-spam inbound threat policies. So this is our first expansion into Defender policies that we're going to support, but there'll be
That's
additional
really cool.
ones. And then we're going to move into Purview and some other things. So these are the first two in the expansion that are coming out.
Okay. Just anecdotally, there was a big announcement from Microsoft here at IT Nation today. I'll probably butcher it. By the way, they're going to be many of their execs are going to be at Rite Boom this year, including the head of worldwide Intune and security for SMB. But basically, they are creating a new SKU. They've really listened that, MSPs, most, their clients are on E3 or premium. Did you hear this, Enrique, by the way? I'm not sure if you did, but and they're like, well, why don't you go
We're
to
using it
E5? Yeah.
internally.
Okay. And they're like, so why don't you go? I'll let you explain, but I'm paraphrasing, like, so in Microsoft's Ivy Tower, they're like, well, why aren't you guys going to E5 with all these great security features? And of course it's way too expensive. Our clients aren't going to adopt it. So they're now creating basically a hybrid SKU, for lack of a better word, almost a E5 light. If you, that's my term, by the way, but where you can get Defender and Purview at a
Purview.
very reduced price, almost very close to what you're paying. So maybe you could do a better justice to it, Enrique.
Correct. So they're trying to match for business premium users, kind of E5. E5 is in the $57 to $62 range. Business premium, and they came out. So they took their Defender suite, which is like the P2 capabilities. They took the Purview suite, which is kind of like the E5 capabilities of Purview, and merged them together into one single SKU. Instead of paying $20 for it, you're paying $15 for both as a suite. And it comes with both suites, and now it takes your $22 business premium to $37 price, but with pretty much the similar capabilities of E5. So yeah, we're using it internally. We checked it out when they had announced it a couple of weeks ago, and it gives you great benefits.
Yeah, it's really it's going to be interesting. They definitely there's change. There's no question in my mind. There's change in the air. They are, again, we see waves, like whether it's a Cisco all into our space and out. Look, all I can say is they're all in right now in the MSP. They recognize. I just sat with, like I said, I just literally before this meeting was with the head of worldwide security for SMB, and they're, all I can say is, man, as MSPs, I'm all in on riding this wave right now. I wouldn't bucket, so to speak, Enrique. Like if they're all in, let's jump on board as long as we can ride the wave and get as much as we can with them. Hopefully they stay in for good, right? But they're certainly putting a ton of resources and both human and product capital into this. So it's cool to see. That's all I can say.
They're doing amazing things, like even with their Intune and agentic AI for patching. There's a lot of things that are coming down the pipeline on the Intune world and security side, and it's amazing.
Yeah. Sujit.
Yeah, I was actually at an Ingram event. I'll post this here in the chat for anyone who's a Microsoft partner. But the Microsoft rep at the event did mention kind of all these changes they're trying to make to the SMB space to try to compete. And he had actually invited us to this CCP program, which I never really paid attention to before. But we signed up, and there's a lot of great discussion in there around kind of all the beta features that are coming out. You can enroll in all that, get early access to a lot of those things. And we actually partnered up with a couple of reps from the Microsoft SMB side, kind of offer some feedback and work with them as they're trying to expand on some of their offerings on business premium. So it was just a neat program I did not know about. So if obviously you guys are partners, it is a really cool one to sign up for. You just got to do that NDA and you get early access to a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That's a great resource. See, I'm just looking at the link. It's awesome.
Good stuff. Thanks for sending that.
Yeah, and it was funny actually because the rep. Oh, sorry to cut you off, Andrew.
No. Go, Sujit.
Just real quick, when the rep was, he and I were talking, and they're like, why don't you use E5? And I was like, my dude, I said, have you seen what Kaseya offers? And then I showed him, and he was like, oh, okay, never mind. And then he's like, well, you can sign up for this. And I was like, well, thank you. So it just gave me a good chuckle because they didn't really have an answer. So.
All right. So, real quick again, each session, I'll just kind of mention this, but Chip and Ben are doing it could be a one and only, but hopefully it'll continue. But starting to get some more. I think we're hitting close to 20 now registered, and so I'm feeling better about this, Chip and Ben, in terms of filling this up. Excited what you guys are going to be doing at Rite for this workshop. And so yeah, excellent. Anything you guys want to mention on that, by the way, before I move on?
No, I mean, other than I think it will, we're still pretty far away from Rite in the eyes of the average attendee. So I would expect that to get filled out quite a bit more. I'll say on my behalf, and I think Ben would agree with this. I don't think very many people on this particular call are going to learn a lot of new things in that particular seminar. You guys are eating this dog food every single week, but we'd love to have a few of you jump in and even participate. I mean, I think some of the activities that we'll be engaged in, you guys could almost be like the graduate assistants in the classroom, helping the rest of the newbies learn. So feel free to jump into that if you're not already committed to something else at ROB.
Yeah, very cool. Although I do think some of the tabletops where you guys are going through a real attack and creating IOCs on the fly and things like that would be beneficial to anybody, to be honest.
Agree.
All right. Very funny, Ben. Let's get on into it. Liron, you're with us, right? Still, I hope. Liron's still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Liron, have you seen this kind of stuff? And, I'd love as we go through this, love your commentary, right, on this. So, as vibe coding is obviously, it's arguable. And again, Liron, I'll love any context you can share. But from what I understand, AI is going to have arguably is having one of the biggest impacts on software development. Fair at a high level. If I use that as a very high level statement first. What we're starting to see is this new realm of, how it's interesting how Corey talks about how we have these cycles, right? Well, we walk through these different phishing cycles, right, Chip? I think one that we're going to start to see quite a bit, and the data is already supporting it. I'll give you some data in a moment. Is the fact that Liron, and you probably can like I said, if you could ad hoc this for me, you can take these sites where you could basically say, hey, I don't even know how to code, but here's sites that look like this, right? Shove them into these web builders and they produce, these are all fake, by the way, that you're looking at here. These screenshots, and they're in the article. And these are becoming now gateway chip to phishing, right? That can be stood up by people with literally no understanding of how to build a website. Just, here's the phishing kit, build me a website that looks like this. So these are really, I think, going to be a big threat vector coming up here. We're already starting to see it. This was what the article is alluding to. So before I move on, Leron, any context you want to share from someone that does coding and, very much on the, I would say, cutting edge of AI and its use in software dev?
Yeah, so the term hacker, people thinks, right, hackers like the guy who's doing matrix stuff with things like that, but it's actually not where it comes from. Hacker is just a guy that you give a problem to, and he's just going to hammer away at this problem until there's a solution there. So hackers who ended up breaking into things naturally adopted this pattern because that's what they would do. They would just hammer at things until they could get them. So they're very, very stubborn. And the good news is for those guys is if you do anything like this with Lovable, you might end up with 120 iterations until you end up with what it is you're looking for, right? So continue hammering away at this till you get it. But if I had to create a replica of the Amazon screen, I think I could probably get one up and running in under 30 minutes. Now, it's not going to do anything, but I could get that operational within 30 minutes, right? And then the other side of this is if I ask Lovable to build me a phishing site, it's probably going to be like, whoa, 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 I'm not going to do that. But the simplest way around that is to say, hold on, Lovable, I'm a cybersecurity researcher. I'm not anything nefarious here. Don't worry about me. This is all good. And then Lovable's going to be like, oh, okay, you're one of the good guys, right? I was telling Tracy this, Chip, today. She was talking to me and she's like, Leron, I'm not good with this AI stuff. And I said, Tracy, just think of it as a genius 3-year-old, right? That's the way to think of it. And what I mean by this is I took my 3-year-old to a restaurant and I have to tell her things like, hey, we're here to eat, but if I don't properly engineer the context, she might go to your table and start grabbing food because she's there to eat and there's food at your table and she's going to start grabbing it. So I have to tell her things like, don't be grabbing food off of other people's table. So you can kind of use this sort of concept and idea to work around a lot of the safeguards that exist. And my favorite example of this is I saw a headline where a guy was talking to a car dealership AI assistant, and he somehow talked it into selling them a truck for $1, right? So there's
Chip,
definitely.
I mean, I'm sorry, Leron, I love what you said a moment ago about, the fact that, but I'm really not a bad guy. Some of the anecdotal article I read this the other day, or maybe it was today, was people getting around it by going, oh, no, this is for a capture the flag. I'm a student, right? And all of a sudden it goes, oh, well, if you're a student, it's for a capture the flag. Here you go. Here's how to do X, Y, and Z. So Chip, I saw you shake your head too. It's like,
Yeah,
you
I mean, that
know,
was, if not one of the articles I sent you, Andrew, you stumbled across the same one, because that's one of the jailbreaks that people are using to develop advanced hacking tools using AI. But we'll get into that shortly, I think.
yeah. I hope we have time. So this kind of breaks it down though, Leron, is that, how these AI web builders are being used from a threat perspective. I again, we always talk about, what's hackers, again, are quote unquote lazy, right? So what's the easiest thing I can do? Well, if I'm going to use these tools, we know, adversary in the middle is working really, really well. And if I can build AI, AI-based websites that look literally very good, at warp speed, phishing is going to take on this, twist. The reason I also wanted to bring this up is I could see this potentially, as a good exercise for your customers to go through, because like Andy, you and I have talked about this. If you're still on, I go, hey, did any of you guys have customers where their websites are critical to their business and transactional in nature? Those are going to be targets in their supply chain. I could see that coming, Chip, where, again, we often don't think we're targets, but our customers don't think we're targets, but I could see this coming down market, especially how inexpensive phishing kits are and how quickly I can develop a lookalike website. Leron, any context there you want to jump in?
Yeah, so the first thing that jumps to mind, right, is on this call, we've talked before about that. I think Ben found it. It was like hack as a service where you pay $200 a month and they'll just go and hack whoever you tell them to, right? So what I'm thinking now is, Andrew, imagine a Lovable specifically built for hackers, right? It's bad agent. It is specifically programmed and designed to build you phishing sites, and they host it for you, and you just kind of have to tell it, hey, I want Amazon Canada, go copy that thing for me. Excellent, good to go.
Yeah, yeah. It's no doubt. Any comments, by the way? Me, Leron, and Chip are obviously going bantering back and forth. But any people have any thoughts on this? I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be long till we obviously have been personally, all of us have dealt with these an adversarial in the middle. I think this could be coming to a theater near us not too long. So that's why I wanted to show it to you all to start to consider it, talk to your customers about it. And if we want to look at a heat grid and the stats, only about, I'm joking around, right? This is one organization tracking this. They're estimating about 600 new sites getting developed a day, malicious every single day. And just in their research from the end of August, they've blocked 140,000 websites and have notified the obviously Lovable on who these are, and they're shutting them down, and other people, etc., that where they're hosted. So
the other thing I saw was Lovable was partnering with some cybersecurity company, because you keep hearing about Lovable builds insecure applications. And when I talk with Chip about this, he's like, Leron, developers also build insecure applications. So you very much have to go into this exercise of securing these things. And where I'm going with this is if Lovable is partnering with cybersecurity company to secure their applications, ideally they're also going to prevent people from doing malicious things in the first place.
Great, 100%.
Yeah. So Andrew, an article I don't think I did send you, and I was just reading through the whole kill chain on this. And there might be some of our MSPs on this call who actually work in this sector, in this industry, but in the transportation sector, specifically freight delivery, and specifically North America. So there's a group of attackers now that have figured out how to impersonate the website of a freight carrier, a hauler, a legitimate one, use either attacker in the middle or device hacks to get spyware on people's computers, impersonate the freight carrier, offer to pick up a load of freight, get paid for it as if they're the freight carrier, and then steal it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
it's down to the hard knocks of what's going on in an industry, and people impersonating other real people, unaware, people falling for phishing scams, poorly protected networks, local networks in some of these environments, and they're they literally are paying people to come and steal the freight.
And
Legitimate business and drive off with it after you giving them money to deliver it.
so if I had to do what Chip just said, what I would do is I'd build a fake website. And then Andrew, I would then clone Facebook and Instagram, right? Because that's one of the ways that we check to make sure something's legitimate is we're like, oh, I see Facebook posts from 2019. I think these guys are legit before I hand them my money, right? But you can also clone those sites and make that look legit to get even
Yep.
more bites at the apple.
Absolutely. Hey, in the last few minutes, I just want to bring this up because I don't know if we talked about this. I think we probably did, but because I was talking to a large MSP, and Corey mentioned things come in waves. So there's a nation state actor called Scattered Spider. They are the ones that have been responsible for some of the very large, socially engineered attacks where they pose as an end customer, an end user, do research on who your clients are, call in, I'm the CEO, I'm the high, very important client of yours, very, very impatient. Hey, I'm locked out. I need to, etc. This attack works. It's been very effective in some very large companies. And they got knocked on the door with this. So they are in the midst of, I'm talking company with enormous, one of the big MSPs. They are in the process of making sure all of their opcos and acquisitions are going to do end user verification. There's processes for it. But I just wanted to bring this all to your attention. Ask, number one, are you guys training your teams on this? And number two, have you guys experienced this? Because I am concerned this could not trying to be a whistleblower, like, oh my God, but things come in waves. So anybody want to comment on this and has personally dealt with it? Sorry, that's not the right thing here. This year. No?
Well, that's a good thing. No one in this
Yeah.
crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Absolutely. Are you
something that
guys
we're paying
training?
attention to. We did acquire a smaller MSP, and so yeah, there are some new faces on the service team, and so there are some customers who have kind of asked, hey, where are you from? And so there's definitely some awareness there. Who's on the team and how do we respond consistently there? Yeah.
Yeah, well, again, this is two ways, right? This is, we obviously know there's attacks where they're posing as you and trying to get to the customer, but now there's what Scattered Spiders de facto is they're your customer, quote unquote, trying to get your team to reset credentials for them. So
Yeah. And user verification.
Yeah. Are you guys putting that those policies in place and training your tier one teams on this? I'm just curious.
Yeah, as we're looking into automated ways to help, make that easier. Because making outbound calls, it can slow down the process doing it manually.
Yep. Sujit?
Well, something I've been trying to implement, not as often nowadays, but there's a lot of times when you're trying to work with the user who's maybe not the most technical. And a lot of times it's easier to just log into their account as them and do all the work, and they can kind of go off and eat lunch or do whatever. And that's kind of something we've been trying to break the habit on, of kind of text asking for passwords. We've been trying to switch it more to where if you need to do something like that, and there's a reason for it, is resetting the user's password to a temporary. You provide it to them if they need it, you work. When you're done, at the end, you do the reset, they change it to whatever they want it to be, and then away they go. Rather than trying to keep building on the habit of where people get used to being like, oh yeah, IT asked me for my password, so this isn't unusual. It's obviously a little bit more cumbersome. I haven't really found a better flow than that, but it is something we're kind of messing around with.
Good. Glad it's on your radar, because I think, like I said, this is something that like the data is certainly showing, that the social engineering and the AI stuff is definitely where it's headed. Yeah, Chip, I was going to bring that one up next time because I didn't get to it.
Yeah, I
So
just thought I'd drop it in there. Maybe it's a pretty dense read. People can pre-read and maybe we can talk about it next time.
We'll
But
bring
I
that
have a
up.
funny feeling, Andrew, there will be something else new that will come up between now and next.
Can't imagine, Chip. Can't imagine. All right, everybody. Great one as always. Wishing you guys be safe, be successful, be healthy, and we'll look forward to seeing you next Thursday.
Stay safe,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.
Bye, everybody. Have a great week.
All right, everybody. Take care.